Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, which you probably are because this is the second episode, we not only review stuff here, I also draw at the same time. And today we're going to go and talk about the new Spider-Man Homecoming, which I saw on Thursday night at the premiere. Well, kind of the premiere. I don't know what you call it when it's the day, just a day early. But anyway, it was a really good movie, and this is coming from a diehard Spider-Man fan. At least I feel like I'm a diehard Spider-Man fan. The characters were really nice. The story was pretty good of a premise, and it's going in a nice direction. Like, the Andrew Garfield films were meant to be darker and gritty. Meanwhile, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films were more campy and fun. This is a nice mixture of the two, and it's just really nice to see him in the MCU so we can have him as an Avenger and stuff. And it's rebooting the character, but they're not going to go do the origin again. And they made sure to just kind of like point that out already. So don't worry, there's not going to be a whole entire issue with that. There's a lot of room for it to grow, and that's always good. And you guys already know the premise if you've seen the commercials. Pretty much, Spider-Man gets to keep his suit from Tony Stark during the Civil War series, and this is going to be a spoiler-free thing, so you don't need to worry about me saying anything. So I'm just going to be as vague as possible, but also like just trying to encourage people to watch it. So it's pretty much that, as you know from the trailers, he gets to keep the suit, he starts using it, the Vulture appears, problems occur, and he gets into a fight with Tony Stark. Tony takes back the suit, and he still has to go after the Vulture while also trying to get the girl of his dreams. And that's like the premise of the movie. And they did a good job. Now, the movie itself does not have a large premise of Tony Stark, which is good. Because Spider-Man can stand on his own. But they wanted to make this kind of like mentor, protege kind of thing going on with Tony and Peter, which is fine. And they did a good job at it. And it's not over the top, so Spider-Man fans can feel okay. Because there was lots of issues with that. A lot of people were saying, like, Peter Parker never needs Tony Stark to help him with anything. It's kind of cool that he made his own suit. But at the same time, I kind of think realistically, there is no way a 15-year-old kid knows how to sew his very own suit. Maybe when Mary Jane comes into play and, she's a fashion model, she could probably make him a cool suit. But other than that, there's no way. Also, speaking of Mary Jane, Michelle, Kevin Feige has announced, is not in any way, shape, or form Mary Jane. But, I guess she's going to be a love interest later. Because I say later because she really doesn't do anything in this film, and yet they market her as such a big part, and she does nothing in the film. I mean, she's there, but she's there less than Flash Thompson. And Flash actually, I was worried about this because I was told, like, Flash is not going to be the jock bully anymore. He's not the jock. But in this one, he's still the bully. He's still a jerk. He's still the bane of Peter's existence. Like, Peter just hates him. It's like, oh my gosh, it's him. And they have all the iconic characters still. They have Liz Allen, who is the love interest, which was Peter's first crush in the comics. And they have Betty Brant, who Peter later on dated, and is a great character in the series. So I hope to see more of her, and I would like her to be the love interest. I'd also like Mary Jane to be the love interest, but we don't know if Mary Jane's going to show up, though I think they would. I think they would bring her in, but they're probably waiting till later to show her up. At least I'm hoping so. I really like Mary Jane, and, she's Peter's wife, and it would be kind of cool in the films if they did do the Spider-Man wedding. That'd be really cool. But anyway, we're dealing with high school Peter, so she'd probably not show up, but no clue who this Michelle is if she's not Mary Jane or whatever. So we have this whole entire great setup. The cast is really nice. The school is really different than the Midtown that we're used to in the comics. It's more like advanced, and they're very big into, like, knowledge is power kind of stuff. They're like all like really smart kids, I guess. Not fully, but like Peter is really intelligent, and they showcase this. In fact, that's where he makes all his web shooter fluid. He makes them in school, and they do a great part about that, and it's really fun. And so it's like, oh cool, so he invents this while at the school, because of course he can't get the supplies at home, and it's a real, and they show how he hides his stuff and where he puts his equipment, And it's a cute moment. There's a lot of stuff that Spider-Man fans are going to love about it. They do moments that are really iconic to the comic books. They do comic book scenes that are just the biggest moments in Spider-Man's life, kind of like, it's just, I can't say because it'll be a spoiler. So just you'll know. If you're a diehard Spider-Man fan, you'll be like, oh my gosh, they did that. They did the thing. They did that issue. That's like awesome. That's really cool. So you know they're trying. They're really trying to make a great job of it. But yeah, it's about Peter learning that he doesn't need gadgets and stuff to be Spider-Man, and like it comes from the heart, and it's like he loses that understanding because he was given that really cool super suit, and everything is falling apart in his life, kind of thing. And it's you know, that happens in Spider-Man, in the Peter Parker thing, that he the Parker luck and so forth, and he doesn't always win. He doesn't always get the girl, and he isn't always victorious in battles, and they show this, and they do it in such a great way. Like, it's not like, pity me! It's more like, man, that sucks. Okay, let's move on. Like, Peter does not let that get him down, and that's what really has to be shown more often. They don't do that anymore in the comics, which sucks. But yeah, like, Peter was always about, like, you can still move on and stuff, and they show that really well in this little film. And I like that. I like that a lot. There's Aunt May shows up in it, and they do a great job of her too. Like, she appears, and she's like a very good parental mother figure. I don't know why he just calls her May though. It's like, call her Aunt May. Like, everybody else calls her his aunt. Like, Tony Stark, no, like, says, hey, let's go. Like, everybody calls her his aunt. It's like, what about your aunt? Or Tony Stark's like, hey, let's like, how's your aunt doing? And stuff like that. Like, everybody calls him his aunt except for Peter. And it just, like, makes you wonder what's going on with that. But yeah, like, they make her a really good parental figure. And she's just, like, worried about Peter, because it's like, oh, you're like showing up late at home. What's going on with you? And there's some really cool parts. Of course, everybody, like, a parent, like, this is not a spoiler. I'm just gonna give this away. Now that, I guess Uncle Ben is dead, everybody now knows that she's on the market, because, like, all these guys are just hitting on her throughout it. Like, all these guys are just, like, doing stuff. They're like, hey. And sometimes she notices and stuff, and, like, and Peter shows a little bit of disdain at points about it, or, like, he's encouraging at points. I don't know, but it's cute. That was nice. Liz Allen is really well done as well. She plays a big role in this, and it was known that she later on developed a crush on Peter. Like, he always liked her, but after a while, it became more obvious that she started liking him around the same time that he kind of gave up on her. So they did a good job at these whole entire, like, kind of like, I kind of have a crush on you, and you have a crush on me, and that's cool. And Ned wasn't bad, and Peter was never, like, becoming a problem in this film either. Like the commercials always made him seem like, man, I want to be Avenger, so I'm just gonna go and do stupid stuff. It's like, no, he doesn't really do it that often. It's more like, oh no, the Vulture's showing up. I gotta do this stupid thing, because I have no clue how we're gonna do it any other way, because I'm young, and oh my gosh, that guy is scary. And the Vulture, Adrian Toomes, oh my gosh, Andrew Keaton did a great job. Like, here's the thing, all of Spider-Man's villains need a wardrobe update in the comics, and they never do it. They're all like, yeah, they're great the way they are. No, they're not. Have you seen them? Have you seen Toomes, what he's wearing? No, he's like a 50-year-old man that's wearing a chicken suit. No, and this one they gave him such a beautiful outfit too. It's like, it's got that aviator feel. It's just perfect. His character is just awesome and intense. And the series also hints at other villains that'll show up and other characters, like, that are going to be very iconic for later on. And they do a great job at showing all their strengths and weaknesses. Like, all the villains, it's just a blast. Like, you can sympathize with Toomes throughout it, which was kind of what his character had. Like, he was screwed over in the comics, and so he decided to seek revenge. And this shows it as well. Like, he was screwed over and he wants revenge, but in a different way. And it's phenomenal. They did a great job, and just everything was just really cute and fun. It's not completely like what we would want in an iconic, like, just great adaptation of Spider-Man, but it still does a really nice job. And the only nitpicks I have is that now, sadly, because Sony decides we're going to be part of the same universe and stuff, we're now not going to get Black Cat. We're not gonna get Felicia Hardy. There was a trailer, one of the trailers in Homecoming showed a white-haired girl, and all I could think of was, oh my gosh, it's Felicia Hardy. Yes! Because if you're not gonna do the Mary Jane romance, you're not gonna do the Betty Brant romance, Gwen Stacy, psh, no, she's not even that interesting. It's gotta be Felicia Hardy, who was, like, the second most iconic romance of Spider-Man before the Amazing Spider-Man films. Like, I'm serious? Her whole entire story is just phenomenal. So it sucks. It sucks we're not going to be able to get her or Venom. I mean, maybe they can work around it. They can pull it off, I guess. So that's what I have to say about the Spider-Man film. It is really good. And, oh, let's go talk about Tom Holland for a few minutes. Tom does an excellent job at being Spider-Man, but he shows so many emotions. Like, the whole entire thing, I think somebody brought it up online at one point, and I was like, I agree, that, like, when Peter fails and he gets upset, it's not ever showing him as a big baby. It's really, you feel bad for him, and you understand this is failure, and it sucks. And he portrays it so well. Like, he does get really upset. He's not, like, throwing a tantrum, but it's like everything's falling apart, and he just kind of, like, wants to just let it all out. And they do such a great job at showing it. He shows fear when situations get bad, and it's just really realistic. He's a kid, and we all understand this, and he's doing all these crazy things, and though it's terrifying for him, he'll continue to do it because he knows that the outcome will never be good if he just runs away. As we all know, great power comes with great responsibility for a very good reason. So yeah, it's a great movie. I would love to see a second one of it. Like, I will look forward to the second one. My only nitpick is you should definitely go see it with friends. I don't have many friends around here, so I had to go see it alone, and it's a movie you have to see with friends, especially Spider-Man fans. Just be careful about which kind of friends you bring that are big fans of Spider-Man, because some of them are going to be ticked. Because there are parts that are not as great, that don't display him in a proper sense, but other ones do. Like they do show that he messes up, and which is great, because they kind of, like, maybe later, because of the ways he messes up, they can bring in the Daily Bugle that'll be like, see, he's just a menace, and then we can be like, oh, sweet, it's the Bugle! But, I don't know, it's a good movie. It's gonna be fun. It's not like an accurate adaptation to Spider-Man, but it's the best one so far that I've seen. And, like, they all have their merits. All the movies do, but this one's probably the best. As they say, Andrew Garfield played the best Spider-Man, but a terrible Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire played a great Peter Parker, but a terrible Spider-Man. And Tom Holland, he plays both. He plays a great Spider-Man and a great Peter Parker. Oh, you want to know what? I didn't talk about Ned in this review. Ned is pretty okay. I mean, yeah, he's kind of a Genki ripoff, and I think it's because I don't think MCU are big fans of the Marvel Comics, and they may have done that just to be like up yours. I can get into detail about how I feel about that later on, like why they feel that way, and it's really obvious they don't like each other. But it seems that way, but also Ned was kind of a fun character in the comics. But there is a reason he's not around anymore. I'm not going to give it away, but if you guys are interested in getting into the comics, I'm just going to tell you, Ned's not around for good reasons anymore in the comics. Just look it up. And don't be surprised, all right? This is Spider-Man. Things tend to happen. I mean, he was still fun when he was around. He was just like the happy guy of this series. So yeah. And I hope you enjoy. This is my little Spider-Man, and he's just, I think he's running. This is really bad. Little swingy motions. I think he's just running right here. See? Yeah, he's running. There's no way he'd be swinging with that kind of fluid motion. It's just a tiny chibi. Flip, flip.